What is up, all? Happy Friday. Welcome into Pac-12 Preview. Yes, I am Michael Carrottenuto at Diablo00 is where you can find me on the good old Twitter. And yes, little banter, a little fun. And I got a little bit of banter today as postseason softball and baseball are here. Well, has been here, but the Women's College World Series got underway yesterday. Unfortunately, one rain out. And it's an all Pac-12 matchup, of course. Washington and Utah going all the way to Oklahoma City to play each other again. Crazy how that works, huh? No, but and Stanford, obviously, there as well. So very well represented in the Women's College World Series. So we got Washington and Utah, and then Stanford, who unfortunately fell to defending national champions, Oklahoma, who have won what seems like about 1,000 games in a row. No, 47 games in a row now. 49, something like that. In post, you have it in my notes, but they've just won a plethora of games. It is absolutely insane. It was a 2-0 game, Stanford going toe-to-toe with the champs and wasn't beaten by the deep ball. And we shall get to that. So, but yeah, Utah and Washington have to play, still play their first round game as they were rained out yesterday in Oklahoma City. And then even the night game between Florida State, the number 3 seed, and Oklahoma State was delayed, but they were able to get that in. So the Huskies and the Utes have to play their game, which is that first pitch is about to happen. And that game's on ESPN too. So if you want to have it on in the background as you're checking me out, why not? Support a little Pac-12 sports. Well, obviously the Women's College World Series, but 2 Pac-12 teams in an all SEC matchup yesterday. Tennessee took care of Alabama, controlled the game. They won 10-4. So that's where we're at. Oklahoma won, Florida State won. As we are down to the final 8 teams again in this double elimination tournament. Yes, double elimination. So I always call it double elimination because, yes, when you see, obviously, the graphics, you're watching the games, even, baseball, it's a loser's bracket. Yes, you did lose a game, but I just have a hard time calling teams that have played that well, gotten that far, losers. So, I don't know. Call me crazy. That's just me. But nonetheless, that is going on. Also, baseball regionals are going on as well. The selection committee. Oh, wow. To say the least. WOW. Wow. Well, they did get right the overall number 1 seed in Wake Forest. And I'm sure all the teams that are there feel that they got it right too. But just a little tough for me. And we shall get to that because, yeah, it's a very interesting regional brackets. Obviously, you got 64 teams. That are there. Again, the overall number 1 seed is Wake Forest. Number 2 is Florida. Arkansas is 3. Clemson is 4. Those are your top 4 seeds. And rightfully so. I mean, I did see Arkansas and Clemson play a few times. Florida, full disclosure, only highlights. and then Wake Forest being the overall number 1 seed about halfway through the season. I finally said, hey, I got to check Wake Forest out. Not because I wasn't sold before that, but need to see it. So, yeah, Wake Forest, the pitching, the hitting, all around. They have a hell of a shot, to say the least, to go through this. And they're hosting their Winston-Salem Regional. George Mason, Maryland, and Northeastern are the other 3 teams in that. But, yeah, that's where we are at. And, man, and teams are always going to feel slighted. Let's just get that out of the way. We all know teams are always going to feel slighted. So as when I get back to that, to baseball, I shall hit on that, because from the Pac-12, I feel, and they're like, yes, you still have to bounce 2 other teams. You'd have to bounce 2 teams out, but inevitably, I do feel that these 2 teams made the case from the full season of work, not just from a tournament at the end of the season, where, again, if you get hot, more power to you. If you get healthy, say you're getting healthy. Well, UCLA, prime example, got healthy, but just came up a little short in the tournament, and they were banged up the whole season. Now, yes, you can't get extra sympathy points. Talking to Coach Savage at the Pac-12 tournament, it's great being out there, by the way. Again, shout out to everybody part of the Pac-12 tournament, but just being out at Scottsdale Stadium, being around it, it's one of those things where, like, getting hot in the tournament, obviously, yes, a very good thing. But at what point does the season not matter because of a what have you done for me lately? And even in watching the selection show and hearing the breakdown on ESPN, like, 2 of the analysts actually, one which oh gosh, man, and I forgot, I have crazy notes and I forgot to write it down, but he actually coached at Phoenix College in the NJCAA for a few years. So, but played college baseball, coach of the highest levels, also coached again at Phoenix College, and it'll come to me. But yeah, it's just the balance. Yes, I mean, tournament play is good, but a team getting hot for 3 games, if they get just blasted 2 straight games in regionals, like, other fan bases are going to say, look, they shouldn't have been there, which of course is a knee-jerk reaction. And, I would say a fanatic reaction, but response, but is it not fair? Because if your team, you stack them up and you're fair about it, again, take the fanatic part out of it for as long as you can, as you're comparing. If somebody got hotter during the tournament, then that's the frustrating part. So, and they get to go and you don't, and you had equally, well, a better regular season, better conference record, better overall just regular season, and everybody hits bumps. But so a team that starts out really hot in non-conference play, playing tough teams, and even if they dropped a few to some tough teams, but they bounce back and then they start conference play and they're just absolutely, they're rolling, and then they meet up against some teams and, in any kind, and you struggle a little bit, but then, say a team that maybe wasn't consistent or good in the beginning gets, loses a series, but takes the last game, and then, you see that they're hitting, but our teams be able to hit a ton off them. And, if you just go off a straight record overall and conference record, then yeah, I mean, it's baffling. There's a few teams that missed out, but I'm not saying, and yes, don't just listen to Jimmy, hear Jimmy. You need to hear Jimmy, because a lot of people don't hear Jimmy. They listen to Jimmy, but they don't hear Jimmy. That's for you, Eric. That's shout out. Not saying you don't listen. That's shout out. But the conference tournament, yes, should be able to help a team. And I'm not saying that, people saying, oh, well, yeah, if you're eighth or ninth seed and you just, seventh, eighth, ninth seed in your conference tournament, yeah, if you run the table just like in hoops, then you get in. And yes, somebody's going to get, somebody might get bounced from that, maybe even from your own conference. But I'm not saying it doesn't have weight. It's almost like a final, when we're talking college, but a final, say it's, a third of your grade. Okay, but they're not, you're not going to make it 100% of the grade. So it's good to see teams again get healthy just in general. If they were banged up, and again, there's no excuse. You got to roll the ball out and play. And yeah, some guys might be playing a little more and doing a little earlier than you wanted them to, but that's the name of the game in college, in any sport, any level, but more college, obviously college sports, pro sports, people aren't going to feel sorry for you. I mean, they're going to understand that it's tough. It's a tough road for you, but you're going to, as a coach, you're going to prop guys up, get them in the right positions and, situations as much as possible so they're comfortable. But yeah, I mean, you're getting healthy down the stretch and you have a good tournament and you look at the overall body of work and say a team again started out really hot, then got banged up and hit a little bit of a lull and then stayed about 500, but you could see the improvement. Just because they don't win their conference tournament, they're not in. So again, and other teams that stayed healthy that rocked it all year long, I'm not saying take them out. I'm not saying they don't deserve what they have now. Yes, when fans of different, teams, conferences want to sit there and talk, schedules and out of conference and talent and get all that, get all that mumbo jumbo in, as I like to call it, great mumbo jumbo, but get it all in and put it in, then yeah, that's where you're going to have, your debates, whether a team's in or out over your team or a higher seeding. So, and, like I said, it was the same for softball. Stanford in the Women's College World Series and didn't think they had to be a 9 seed which, I mean, again, they got to host their regional in Palo Alto, but then they had to travel to Durham. And then now they're in Oklahoma City, which again, they definitely deserve to be, because if you saw them play softball all year, it's that. But yeah, so, I mean, just for the baseball, it's one of those things where like I said, I'll whip through the regionals, tell you where the Pac-12 teams are at, tell you the Pac-12 teams that I definitely feel got hosed and should be there. And again, a team that made a run that is there. And look, talent-wise, do I think that they can be there or they should be there? Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you see it and they'll put up runs but give up a ton of runs. So I don't I look at it and yeah, I mean, offensively, can they do it? But pitching wise, like it'll be interesting. And again, wanting the conference to do well. So it's one of those things where, I mean, it's tough to swallow if you're a fan of another team. And so I don't, it's and other conferences too. I just think when you see it and matching up, it's like, okay, but and yeah, so I mean, it's a balance, but look, every year, whether it's college baseball right now that I'm talking about with the brackets, or even, the NCAA tournament, which people live off brackets, when you're like, going to 68 and, the first four have to play a lot of times those first four. I'm like, there's always, to me, at least since they've done this, there's one team, if not two, that I feel have definitely presented a case on what they've done to not be in that first four, to be in the tournament itself. And there's two other teams that I look at, they see them like, yeah, they should be, that's where they should be. But I mean, you present your case all year, you have good wins, you're consistent, and you're over, 500 in conference play. It's tough, but a lot of teams are going to, it's part of it. A lot of it sound like sour grapes. What I'm saying to you, sure. Cause every teams that didn't get in that were, quote unquote, right there on the bubble, you can always say that there's always going to be those teams. But yes, the question I asked before, who are you taking out? But when you can literally sit there and put resumes next to each other and match it and take people out, then it's one of those things where if you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, what, for the community, what was this, difference? And if it's, a team that, again, maybe just a matchup went one game further in the conference tournament, like that's where I have the issue in putting that much weight on the conference tournament, the quote unquote final. So, but you know what? That is what happens when, yes, you're comparing teams and, you're saying, oh, this conference, this and that. And even if, in their midweek games, they played, whoever, wasn't so maybe, an opponent that, okay, not as deep as them. And it's just, that's where the subjectiveness comes in, right? So it's still going to be a great tournament. Obviously, Wake Forest, if you haven't seen them, I suggest you see them. They do not disappoint. The overall number one seed, I'll get to that. But we're going to take a quick break. When I get back, again, going to jump back into the Women's College World Series, softball-wise, and we will go from there. But going to take a quick break really fast. And, yeah, we'll talk a little more softball, get into softball, and then, yes, obviously – the regionals with baseball and some pretty interesting matchups and what could lead to some pretty interesting, very interesting super regional matchups. So that is where we will go next. But don't go too far. More coming up here on Pac-12 Preview. Welcome back to Pac-12 Preview. Yes, I am Michael Caratenuto at Diablo00 on Twitter. Hit me up. Questions, comments, a little banter. I mean, let's, again, be fun and civil about it. We can trash talk each other, but we can do it in a fun manner. And, yes, not go crazy overboard. But I will say this, disclaimer, I will find a way to pick at your team, as you will just find a way to pick at mine. But just saying, let's have a little fun with it. Questions, thoughts, all this madness. We're less than, we're about, what? A little bit over like 93 days, less than 100 days from college football kickoff. Full weekend of college football. But, yeah, less than 100 days college football. So it's the nice, hot, scorching summer is upon us and approaching wherever you are. Just realize we're one day closer to the start of college football. But way before we get to that, it's a lot of, like I said, greatness going on. And like I said, the Women's College World Series, Softball College World Series in Oklahoma City. And is going on, and they they are it is rocking to say the least. But and then so Pac-12 teams that are there, pardon me, Pac-12 teams that are there, we have Stanford, Utah, and Washington that are a part of this wonderfulness. And all teams, again, that rocked it during the regular season obviously got their regionals and super regionals. The Huskies got to stay up in Seattle for the whole time, which, again, doesn't hurt your chances, but you got to love it. Yes, and for those of you that haven't, as I like to kid around, say I've been under a rock on this and haven't checked out the show, joined my show, UCLA. You notice I did not mention UCLA. UCLA did not get out of their LA regional, and they had one of the most dominating seasons outside of Oklahoma this season. UCLA, I think, only dropped 4 games all year long and 3 in conference, and it was just they didn't lose a conference series all season long. They were the number 2 overall seed going in, and I'm not just saying it like this I'm not like taking a shot at them. They are phenomenal. They are unbelievable. It's just, man, in a 2-game stretch, they did the one thing I did not think I would see happen, especially this season, is score runs. And the Bruins, unfortunately, picked a bad time to hit a slump of run scoring, because like they were on a collision course, possibly with Oklahoma in the College World Series. I mean, they would have been on different sides of the bracket. But that being said, it's they're not there, and it's just wow. It's just crazy to me that, yes, they are not there, but that they, like I said, that they are not there, or they didn't even get to host a super regional, in which the crazy part is, instead of Utah hosting and San Diego State going there, because San Diego State won the LA regional, instead of Utah hosting, UCLA would have been hosting Utah there. So that would have been a very, very interesting series, to say the least. But hey, hats off to the Utes. I mean, they got it done. First time they I want to say it's the first time they hosted a super regional. As I was watching, I was like, what? But it's been a minute for Utah softball, but nonetheless, 42-14. Respect there to the Utes. And that's where again, they are at. So it's, Utah, Washington, and Stanford are our 3 teams. And pardon me. And so it's, I mean, to me, it's when we look at the bracket where they came from, real quick, like I said. Yeah, so Washington, again, who had a hell of a season, was a 7 seed, and Stanford, again, being a 9 seed, surprised me a little bit. Thought they could have been an 8, which means that they would have stayed in Palo Alto to play Duke. But you know what? They beat Duke in 2, so maybe the chip on the shoulder going across the country, the dominant team they have, worked out well for them. So, well, if you look at the top part, sorry, because there's bracket 1 and bracket 2. So bracket 1, obviously Oklahoma was the number 1 seed in the tournament coming in the country, pretty much from start to finish this year. So Oklahoma won their regional, won the super regional over Clemson, and they are there. And then Stanford on that side also, they are there. Alabama beat Northwestern 2-1 and barely slipped by Northwestern. I mean, Alabama did have some, again, Middle Tennessee almost eliminated Alabama in their Tuscaloosa regional. And then in the super regional, the Tide get by Northwestern. And then Tennessee beat Texas in their Knoxville super regional. So bracket 1, Oklahoma 1, the 1 seed, Tennessee the 4 seed, Alabama 5, and Stanford 9. And like I said, top of the show, if you missed it, Oklahoma or Tennessee opened up yesterday, playing their SEC rivals. Alabama whooped them 10-4 to stay in the quote unquote winners bracket. And then the game, Stanford and Oklahoma. And man, what a game it was. I mean, no scoring until the 5th. And like I said, it wasn't off the long ball. I mean, Oklahoma has definitely hit a lot of home runs this year. And I mean, Oklahoma, you look at domination and batting average. This is insane about Oklahoma. Sorry, I just get taken. Oklahoma led the nation batting 370 as a team, right? Flip that to the other side when they're on defense. ERA, Oklahoma led the nation. 0.98. Let that settle in. Oklahoma, a 0.98 ERA. A 0.98. So you lead with a 370 batting average. You lead the nation. And then you have a 0.98 ERA. And being that good, and obviously competitors at this level, yes. Is there a little kind of wow factor? Sure, I will say that. You're getting off the bus, you're playing Oklahoma, and you're like, okay, so now they're not giving up any hits, really, many runs, obviously, and they're spraying the ball over the field, getting home runs, all that good stuff. But like I said, a 370 batting average and a 0.98 ERA. I mean, it's just insane to me what Oklahoma, again, when you look at those two, and it's crazy that you have that. And again, number one in batting average, 370, number one in ERA at 0.98. 0.98. So I can't, to me, it's madness. It's awesomeness, yes, but it's madness. So they take on number 9 Stanford, and they beat them 2-0, in which they didn't score until the bottom of the 5th. And Jordy Ball, sorry, that's what I was saying of their pitcher, just wow. I mean, what can you say? I mean, she pitched all 7 innings, threw 107 pitches, 69 of those for strikes. And man, the movement she gets on her pitching, again, it's just, again, her last name's Ball. It's kind of funny how the perfect name, yes, the perfect name for a pitcher. But the way, I mean, the movement she gets, the Stanford hitters just could not solve the jigsaw puzzle that was Jordy Ball. And again, to only give up 2 runs. I mean, Oklahoma's hits were all singles, no home runs, but just a little blunder in left field. And that's all it took. All it took. And the Sooners get 2 runs. But yeah, to get back to Jordy Ball, their pitcher, I mean, it's insane when you see her pitch. And this matchup too. And for Stanford on the other side, by the way, their freshman, Najari Canada, man, a freshman. Yes, I did say freshman. She has been insane this whole season, but went toe-to-toe with the Sooners. And when you look at her on the season, what she did in 30 appearances, she started 23 games. She was 16-2 as a freshman, especially going through the Pac-12 as well. Say what you will. This year, softball-wise, it had the highest RPI, I want to say. So, yeah, going through the Pac-12, but 30-23 this season. There are 30 appearances, 23 times, 16 wins to just 2 losses, a point. Yes, her ERA is starting with a point, a 0.52 ERA. Now, I mentioned her a little bit during the season, and I kept forgetting to dig deeper. Not forgetting, but just talking about so much. And yes, numbers are important as you build it up, and I don't go crazy on X and O's, but seeing her pitch in Tempe, it was ridiculous when they came to play ASU. But all season long, watching her, it's just a freshman not overwhelmed, and the hitters in this conference, and she obviously, to overstate the obvious, has 1,000,000% confidence in her stuff. And you can just see it. And so, yeah, a 16-2 record, a 0.52 ERA. She actually had 3 saves in the season as well. Pitched 121 in the 3rd innings, gave up 59 hits, 11 runs, only 9 of those earned. She had 200 strikeouts to just 20 walks. Yeah. So 10 times the amount of strikeouts to walks. That's pretty good. Any coach in the country, in the world, I should say, would take that. And she is just a freshman. So enjoy the next few years, Pac-12 and rest of the country, because she is going to and the crazy thing is you can see the improvement can be there. But yeah, 200 strikeouts and just 20 walks, gave up 7 doubles on the season, no triples, only gave up 1 home run. And I meant to look up who hit the home run against it. It was so back. I was going to say if they hopefully they kept that ball, because that's not happening. Even getting a hit off her, like I said, in 121 and a third innings, just gave up 59 hits. So yeah, it's and throughout 30 appearances, it's insane. But that's what Canada means to the pitching staff. And I mean, and then Stanford also has Alana Vaughter. Alana Vaughter, 38 appearances, 25 starts for Ms. Vaughter, 20-8 overall, with a just ridiculously high 1.82 ERA. Yeah. She had 17 complete games, did Vaughter. Had 4 saves on the season. Pitched 180 and 2/3 innings. Did give up 170 hits, 55 runs, 47 of those earned, but 148 Ks to just 28 walks for Alana Vaughter as well. 13 doubles, 5 triples. Did give up 10 home runs. But still, you look at it, and it's to have a duo like that, and one that is a freshman. Exactly. And I mean, Vaughter's a senior. So it's just insane to me. So that's what, again, Stanford's defense is like. And if you haven't seen Nazari Canada pitch, man, you got to see it. It's just, I haven't seen any of these girls pitch. It's you definitely have to see it, because and everyone's like, oh, softball, the ball's bigger, I could hit it. There have been softball players at the highest level that have mowed down major league hitters pitching with the softball. And again, yes, it is a teeny bit of a different attack on the swing, but knowing how to swing, getting concepts of where the ball is. And yeah, I mean, I've seen softball pitchers just mow down major league baseball players. So yeah, but if you can see what they do, like I said, it's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, what a matchup it was to start the game. Jordy Ball for Oklahoma and Najari Canada. And man, it's I mean, you can't. I mean, Canada went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, the 2 runs. Again, 1 was earned, and there was an error in left field, and the other one came in. But 7. Look, she struck out 7 Oklahoma batters and only gave up 1 walk. I mean, you couldn't ask. I mean, yes, you could ask to win, but just if you said you were going to get a performance from a pitcher, and again, softball, I mean, going 5, but when you have Vaughter right there too, it's not bad to get into. But if you said you're going to get 5 innings from your pitcher who's only going to give up 4 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts and a walk. I mean, yes, they scored 2 runs, but you would feel that, okay, we know we're going against Jordy Ball, who is absolutely insane in and of herself with her .98 ERA. Well, now it's at 1.03, but either way. But you get 7 innings from her, 5 hits, no runs, 11 K. Oh, by the way, so 11 of the 21 batters you have to get out, she struck out. Pseudo buried the lead, but not really, because this game was a game of titans. I mean, yeah, sign me up for a 3-game series of this for the national championship, which now, again, Oklahoma is in the winner's bracket. Yep, Oklahoma's in the winner's bracket, so they play Tennessee, who's also, like I said, they beat Alabama in the winner's bracket on Saturday, by the way, tomorrow, and that is at 3:00 Eastern time, noon Pacific on ABC. So again, you'd be able to check it out. If you haven't seen Oklahoma play, Tennessee, again, take nothing away from them. They are good. They got some pop in their bats. Saw bits and pieces of some of their games this season, and I mean, even in the postseason. But yeah, they got 2 dingers against Alabama. But again, Tennessee, good pitching too. But again, you're going to be facing Jordy Ball. So that is the winners bracket. And then in the they did change it. The elimination bracket finally. And they may have done that a few years ago. I just couldn't stand when people call it the losers bracket. But so tonight at 7:00 Eastern, 4:00 Pacific and Mountain, Stanford will take on Alabama, one of those 2 teams going home. So that's crazy. And then on the other side of the bracket, Florida State, who is the number 3 seed, they beat Oklahoma State handily yesterday. Got a few home runs. Florida State's offense, I talked about it during regionals, even super regionals too, when they had their matchup. The one thing, not that they aren't getting the pitcher, but their offense, man, those girls are a hitting. Those bats have been awake and on fire for quite a bit. And to put up 8 on Oklahoma State, yeah, you can say, well, they put up 8 runs. That's why you're saying it. No. Seeing them all season, they've done it. But to do it against Oklahoma State, especially in Oklahoma City, where the Women's College World Series is at, a little surprising. Not that they won, but that they won 8-0. I think Florida State overall, yes, has it there. And right now, so Florida State will play at 7:00 Eastern, 4:00 Pacific tomorrow against the winner of Washington and Utah on ESPN2 right now. And score update, Utah is up 1-0 in the top of the 2nd inning. So, and again, those 2 teams, this year, let's see. I can tell you what they did against each other. Yes, I can. So Washington and Utah. Where are they? So April 21st. So not crazy, all over a month ago. In Seattle, Utah took the first game 2-1. And then on the 22nd, in 9 innings, yes, went extra innings, Washington able to pull that one off and win 6-5. And then on Sunday, and this was in Seattle, but on Sunday, Washington gets a series win and they beat Utah 5-3. Yeah, they beat Utah 5-3. And just a side note, Washington with Stanford, they took the series from Stanford 2-1 as well. They lost the first game 2-1 to the Huskies, and then they won 1-0. As back to the beginning of last month, May 5th, 6 and 7. So they lost 2-1, then won 1-0, and then shut Stanford out 8-0 in 6 innings. So I mean, that was Washington was a 6th ranked team in the country at the time. Stanford was 7. So yeah, one lopsided game, and that, like I said, only went 6. So, but yeah, so I mean, like I said, for Utah and Washington, that's what they did. But yeah, so the winner of that plays Florida State. The loser will play Oklahoma State, and they have to play again tonight because of how the brackets are set up. Like, so the 2 teams that would have, lost yesterday, obviously Tennessee and Stanford lost. Oh, well, the 4 teams, sorry. So Oklahoma State, they would play today, and then the winner would get, one day off, play again Saturday in the winners bracket. So yeah, so Washington or Utah is going to have to turn around and play tonight. So yeah, you want to get everything for the win right now. And again, only it's in the bottom of the 2nd. Like I said, 1-0 Utah leading over Washington. But yeah, and even throughout the season too, Washington, when you look at them, because pitching wise, they definitely got it going on with Miss Ruby Malin as well. And she has had a heck of a season for the Huskies, has Ruby. The freshman, again, another freshman pitcher from Omaha, Nebraska. But Ruby Malin, as a freshman, 43 appearances, 23 games started, 18-5. Yeah, she's 18-5. And then has a 2.19 ERA. She did have 7 saves on the season, but in 169 and a third innings pitched, she gave up 135 hits, 63 runs, but 53 of those were earned. She had 197 strikeouts on the season to just 53, or sorry, pardon me, 197 strikeouts to just 43 walks or 47 walks. Yeah. Gave up 21 doubles, 1 triple. Did give up 11 long balls. Through 14 wild pitches, hit 9 batters, but 197 Ks to just 47 walks and a 2.19 ERA. Her opponent's batting average just a 214. So it's again, a solid freshman to have. And I mean, you look at, or a pitcher to have, even Lindsay Lopez for Washington, who's a junior. She, in 30 appearances, she started 12 games, but 30 appearances, she was 13-3 overall with a 3.49 ERA. She threw 2 complete games. Oh, by the way, Malin threw 14 complete games. She did have 3 saves. Did Lindsay Lopez, 86 and a third innings pitched, gave up 88 hits, 45 runs, 43 of those earned, 83 Ks, so just 23 walks, 11 doubles, no triples, 3 homers. And then Kelly Lynch, the senior for the Huskies. So a trio there. And again, usually you're going to go with your ace. You're going to go with one. And Ruby Malin has definitely asserted herself and ascended into that role. But Kelly Lynch, in 26 appearances, she started 16 games, had a 9-3 record, very solid, a 2.43 ERA. Through 3 complete games, had 2 saves as well, but through 77 and 2/3 innings, he had 50 hits, 30 runs, 27 of those earned, 101 Ks though, in just 77 and 2/3 innings pitched. So 101 Ks to just 40 walks, 6 doubles, 1 triple, 7 home runs. But yeah, I mean, you have a trio there, but you're going to lean on Ruby Malin. But my point to that is, if it gets out of control, for Washington or for Utah, you have options. You definitely have options. So this game is on right now, which is absolutely awesome. And then for Utah, by the way, I mean, again, I'm not gonna just gloss over the Utes, because again, hosting a regional and getting to host a super regional and getting to the College World Series, it's been a minute, but of course, it's Pac-12 softball. They adjusted and they can play. And you look at their pitching too. I mean, Mariah Lopez for the Utes, who is a junior from Peoria, Arizona, by the way, went to Centennial High School. Definitely had to get Miss Lopez in here. Had it in my notes, wanted to get to it. But yeah, Mariah Lopez, I mean, she, in 40 appearances, she started 35 games, a 23-6 record for Lopez with a 2.15 ERA. She did throw 15 complete games, picked up a save along the way, through 191 and 2/3 innings this season so far for the Utes. Gave up 156 hits, 71 runs scored against her, but only 59 of those earned, 201 strikeouts to just 77 walks. Yes, 201 strikeouts. So maybe a teeny bit high on the walks, you could say, but still 201 Ks in 191 innings pitched. So she's definitely, as you can do the quick, easy math there, always striking out 1 batter an inning. So you're pretty much going to the inning with her with 1 out. Gave up 21 doubles, 3 triples. Did give up 18 long balls this year. I was going to say that for Miss Lopez, but still a heck of a season. And then, and again, they go 23-6. But Utah also has a graduate student being a transfer in Sydney Sandez, who in 30 appearances this year started 17 games, had a 13-5 record, a little bit high on the ERA with a 3.04 ERA. As for softball, but pitched 106 innings. He had 111 hits, 60 runs, 46 of those earned. Did have 83 Ks to 42 walks. And then 22 doubles, 3 triples, and 11 home runs. But, I mean, her opponent's batting average of 261. Oh, for Lopez, her opponent's batting average of 217. So people have more so gotten timely hits against Sandez than consistency. But, unfortunately, all the runs count the same, right, my friends? So, yeah, I mean, when you look at that alone and, for Utah, a team that on the season hit 47 home runs. Now, the Huskies on the season offensively have hit, I think, a little more. They had 64. And Bailey Klinger led the team with 12. Riley Holtorf, local Valley kid too, played at Sandra Day O'Connor High School. The sophomore, yes, got to call quite a few of her games when she was here. And again, playing shortstop, saw her play actually again in Tempe. But yeah, just again, absolute great success for Riley. But yeah, she had 4 home runs on the year, but not your obviously traditional power hitter, but still 64 home runs on the season for the Huskies. You look at Bailey Klingler and Madison Husky, again, my favorite name. She was second on the team with 11 home runs. So anytime, you can say Husky and you're playing for the Washington Huskies, it works well. I mean, for Utah, like I said, about 47. Alicia Bonstrom had 11. She was tied for the lead, and Carly Davison also had 11. And then coming in with 10 home runs on the season was Julia Jimenez. So, yes, they can hit for power. And in Stanford, while we're talking about home runs real quick, on the season, Stanford did manage. I shouldn't say imagine. They again didn't hit a ton of home runs. They hit 24 on the season. So again, they're not getting the deep ball a ton. Ali Kaneshiro led the team with 7 home runs. So they don't have to get the long ball, but hey, they can score on you, and they got the pitching that they get on the board. Good luck getting back on the board against them. And I mean, Oklahoma even proved that was a beautiful part to yesterday's game, by the way, kids, is that Oklahoma through 4 innings. I mean, they're going back and forth, and Stanford had runners on base, had chances, but Ms. Ball again delivered and was able to get key strikeouts. But yeah, Stanford had runners on base, chances to, and not just first base. I mean, first and second. I think was it first and second or base low, one of the two, but they had runners on base, had their opportunity. And when you look at it, you're like, dang. But hey, man, that's how it is. So that is definitely how it is. But it's again a very exciting exciting bracket. So Florida State waiting for the winner of Washington and see if there's an update on that Washington-Utah game. Nope, still 1-0, bottom of the second. So yeah. But with baseball, again, definitely get into this. I said I was going to get to it. And with baseball, as we get to the bracket, and again, real quick, like I said, so Wake Forest, the overall number 1 seed, Florida is 2, Arkansas is 3, Clemson is 4. Those are your number 1 seeds. But the Pac-12 teams in the tournament go Stanford, obviously, hosting a regional. Oregon State, the way they charge in the second half season, again, didn't win a game in the Pac-12 tournament, but the way they charge, the consistency, I mean, just building throughout the season, especially the second half of Pac-12 play after they lost the series to ASU, mind you not. But Oregon State is there. Washington is there. Oregon is there. Okay. And they got to the championship game. They won. Well, they are there because they won the Pac-12 championship game. So that gave them a definite in as to that. And did it stop one of the other two teams that I'm going to talk about that didn't get in from not being there? So Oregon's playing Xavier, and Arizona, they are playing TCU. All these games are today. Now, but when we look at the baseball regionals, like I said, so for the Pac-12 teams, okay, first, Stanford, they are hosting their regional. They are a number 8 seed. So, yes, either way, they have a shot to win their regional and also host a super regional with, again, seeing Stanford play in Tempe, seeing them play in the Pac-12 tournament, getting some wins, and then inevitably losing to, was it to Arizona? But yeah, they lost to Arizona 14-4 in that tournament. And also, I mean, the last game they played Arizona was an extra inning game, but this went short. This went 7, but it was 21-20. But again, Stanford, not saying they give the game to Arizona, then Oregon beat Arizona in the Pac-12 championship. So hence that's why they are there. But let's look at, so Stanford's in their regional. They have San Jose State, Texas A&M, and Cal State Fullerton. So pretty interesting bracket there. San Jose State is the only team I haven't seen play. Full disclosure, Cal State Fullerton, seen them play. Yes, we know it is a team of tradition, a long-standing tradition. But this year, seeing them play a little bit, they'll be interesting. In A&M, again, coming out of the SEC, I think got way too much credit, but that is that. So Stanford hosts their regional. They will play that. Going to Baton Rouge, which, I mean, for softball is never a bad thing. But LSU is hosting Tulane, Sam Houston, and why I'm telling you Baton Rouge, because Oregon State is there as well. That's where the Beavers are at. And LSU is the 5 seed overall. So, yeah, so far Stanford and Oregon State. And then we have Oregon, who won the Pac-12 tournament. They are headed to Nashville to play Vanderbilt, which – congratulations, you won the Pac-12 tournament. You're getting in. Your reward is you get to go play Vandy, who's the overall, who's the number 6 seed. Which, throughout the years, Vanderbilt baseball, yeah, you can count on that. I've seen bits and pieces of some of their games this year. Again, don't disappoint. Like I said, Wake Forest overall number 1 seed, not just because they're number 1. I'm not taking the easy, low-hanging fruit. They are the most complete team, I would say. I mean, pitching, getting the hitting, even facing tough pitchers like Wake Forest. The mission that they're on. I mean, yeah, can you be upset? This is what tournaments are all about. It could happen, sure, but I'm not betting on them to get upset. But Oregon is in that Nashville regional with Vandy, Eastern Illinois, and Xavier are the Ducks. The Huskies, well, they get to go to Stillwater. They're not too far from their women's team in Oklahoma City, as they're both in Oklahoma right now, because Oklahoma State, the overall 11 seed, Oral Roberts, DBU. Who? I do not know. Oops, DBU. Does not stand for it. It just says DBU. So that's who Washington is playing. They are playing DBU. But yeah, that's who's in their Stillwater regional. So Oklahoma State, Oral Roberts, DBU, and UW. Then we get to the Fayetteville regional, and we have Arkansas, who's hosting it, obviously in Fayetteville. Yes, those of you who say, why are you being condescending? Some know, some don't, just assuming that not everybody knows. Santa Clara, TCU, who Arizona's playing today first, and Arizona. And look, from a Pac-12 standpoint, stoked that Arizona's there because of the season they had. The tournament run they made, but they didn't win the Pac-12 tournament. And yeah, they did put up some, like, again, one win against Stanford, one win against Washington. Actually, 2 wins against Washington. Washington took the first game when they played back in April, 13-8. Then Arizona won 12-4 and 13-1 in Tucson. So, but I mean, one win against Stanford. They got swept by ASU. Then they beat ASU 20-0. And then they turn around and beat them 12-3 in the Pac-12 tournament. So look, the stretch run they made, I mean, you can see it. They did get swept by Oregon State, though. And then Stanford, again, they lost 9-8, then 9-2, and then won 21-20 in 10 innings. And a game that I saw highlights of, but did not get to see all of, and did not know how that got that high scoring and that out of control. Then they took 2 out of 3 from USC. They beat them 13-4, 6-3, and then 14-6. Beat ASU, like I said, 12-3. Beat Oregon State 13-12. Beat Stanford 14-4. Lose to Oregon. So yeah, I mean, if you look at the what have you done for me lately? And again, I'm not picking on Arizona, but the fact that USC and Arizona State are home. When you look at the standings from the regular season, right? Conference play, Stanford, okay, 23-7. You're a freak. Oregon State, 18-12. Washington, 17-12. Minus 1 game played. USC, 17-13. ASU, 16-13. Minus 1 game played. Oregon, 16-14. UCLA, 12-16-1. And then Arizona, you get a 12-18. Like, yeah, the conference RPI being number 1, okay, I'm all for them getting credit for tough losses or series losses. And then you beat a Washington team who, again, 34-18 overall, 17-12 in conference play. And I said minus 1 game. I said this before. It happens every year in the Pacific Northwest. There's a game lost to weather. ASU was up there. They lost the first game in Seattle. They came back the next day, won the second game. The third game, the weather just didn't cooperate, so they canceled the game, or they postponed it, then ended up being canceled, not made up. Now, look, if you're Washington going in the Pac-12 tournament, you could have been 18-12 in conference play, maybe had that seed over Oregon State. You're in a different pool, different matchups, right? If you're Arizona State, you would go to 17-13 if you won that game. Washington would also be 17-13, but you would catapult Washington, so it would bump USC up 1 up, Arizona State up 1. Different matchups, right? In the Pac-12 tournament. So, look, the fact that Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington, I thought all were there. USC, what they did, especially again, all throughout conference play, but all season. I mean, it seemed it was 34-23-1. And I just, it maddens me that USC and Arizona State, who, again, lost to U of A, but turned around, beat Oregon State. Need a little bit of help, obviously, to get into the semifinals. Didn't get it, but took care of Oregon State again in the second game. Had 3 quality wins over Oregon State. A win over a Washington team. Yes, got swept by Stanford. Dropped 2 out of 3 to Oregon on the road. Swept Arizona, then lost to them once in the regular season, and then Arizona gets the win there. So, yeah, I'm not, again, if I'm a fanatic of USC, a fan of USC, and obviously an Arizona State homer, but if I look at it from a USC standpoint, you're like, Arizona, like, look what we did. And then, you know, when I see some of these other lower ranked teams, I'm just like, huh, okay. Like, and again, going through how other teams did in tournaments, but I mean, just a selection and obviously not winning their tournaments, you know, I mean, NC State, you know, looking at that, you know, a team like East Carolina, who did have a good year, but I mean, Tulane, Sam Houston, like you could look at these teams that didn't win their regular season, win their conference tournament, and it's So the regular season mattered for some, but didn't for the others. I think that's the contradictory message that frustrates me from the committee for baseball, because for some it mattered, for others it didn't. Like, people say, well, you just said look at the schedules earlier. Okay, I did say look at the schedules. You can compare, but that's my point. You're playing same caliber teams. So everybody's got flaws, even Wake Forest, but for Wake Forest, again, not many. So yeah, I mean, that's what the committee said. For some, the regular season mattered, had its 2/3 of weight, like the final. You're saying you're in college taking classes, 2/3 of the class is from, throughout the semester work, whatever test, but then the final is 1/3 of the grade. Well, the regular season should be 2/3 of the grade and the conference tournament 1/3, but that 2/3 has to weigh very heavily, and it's a body of work. I don't, and again, for UCLA, a team that was 12-16-1 in conference play, 28-24 overall. I mean, look, they started out 16-3, and then they went 12, 21-1. I mean, they started out 16-3, and they went 12, 21-1, and they were crushed by injury. But if you saw how they were playing, and again, from UCLA standpoint, maybe I'm going a little too far, but it's one of those things where if they would have won, they would have been in, and you're like, okay, well, we justify it by, yes, they won their conference tournament, so they're an automatic bid. Cool. But look at what they did. Even Coach Savage said, I asked him, I said, it's not an excuse. I'm not saying, and I said a word to him like this. I said, yeah, obviously I'm a supporter of the Pac-12 and, maybe a wee bit of a homer coach, but your full body of work, how you started, hitting the injury bug, battling through what you did, coming back down the stretch like you did. He goes, well, the last 45 days we didn't do what we needed to. But if we go to a regional, can we compete? Can we play? Can we win? He knows what he has with his team. So, I mean, even for UCLA, but Arizona, look, you're 12-18. So yeah, from the Pac-12 standpoint, having another representative is there, but just getting to the championship game does not outweigh to me what USC and Arizona State did all year long. So it's a balance. And look, I'm just saying in the Pac-12, you look at it. Look at other standings, I mean, even in the Big Ten, the SEC, again, a ton of teams. I look at it like that. I mean, Troy, it's you look at these teams and Nichols, and they had solid years. And yes, a few of these in my notes I saw, won their conference tournament. So they weren't going to be obviously a seeded team hosting a regional, but I mean, you can see with the selection committee, like leaving SC out, Arizona State. There's other teams that are in there right now. And I'm not just going to pick, say, oh, these two teams here or three teams here lost 2 in a row in the regionals, in the regionals. So that's why they should have been in. No, it depends on, I get it. Situational matchups. I'm just saying, if you're the committee, the regular season was 2/3 important for some and not for the other. So for the Pac-12, yes, I want wins. Believe you me, I want wins from Stanford, Oregon State, Washington, Oregon, and Arizona to, have the conference rip through and prove that, yes, SC and Arizona State should be there as well. Like I said, Oregon needed to win it to go, and they won the tournament. So, hey, hats off to the Ducks, man. You did the job with the 1/3 that you need to do. And if you win that 1/3, you get the automatic bid. But I don't feel it should have been and the other team that gets to the championship game gets in, but the other two who, again, body of works, it's crazy in that conference. I think that, again, and Oregon going from winning it, Arizona for how they played down the stretch and in the tournament, cool, 100%. But Arizona State and USC should be there as well too. It shouldn't have pushed them out if you're picking them. If you're saying Arizona's so much up on a pedestal within the committee, then SC and Arizona State are right there. So that's my final thoughts. Like my boy Ray Lynn says, keep that same energy, but it's never the same energy when you're comparing alleged conferences and who gets the benefit of the doubt and this. And they say it is, and these committees, spokesperson says the right thing, all the right things, and it's very frustrating. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a safe weekend. Also, again, you can enjoy college baseball. Like I said, the regionals are going to be all over. The Women's College World Series. So, again, check out baseball regionals. Check out, obviously, the Women's College World Series. And, again, let's see. Let's see. Let's go to see if there's any update. Oh, look at this. Top of the third. Got a little action. Washington now jumped ahead of Utah 2-1. So, again, the winner of this game will play Florida State tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. The loser gets to play again in the elimination bracket at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific against Oklahoma State, who got shut out by Florida State. So they're reeling, they're chomping at the bit probably to get back on the field, watch that game out, the game against Florida State out. So that is where we're at. Again, Alabama, Tennessee, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific tomorrow on ABC. They will be playing, and also tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, Stanford and Alabama. And that's on ESPN, as this game's on ESPN too as well. And then the nightcap, Oklahoma State and the loser of the Washington-Utah game on ESPN as well. So, yeah, you got a full day. But the Huskies now just went back up 2-1 over Utah. So, again, check it out. Check some Women's College World Series softball out. It is phenomenal, to understate it. Phenomenal would be understating it. Yes, I 100% stand by that. So, again, check it out. Check out some baseball regionals. I'll be back Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. You can check it out. Again, hit me up on Twitter at Diablos00 is where you can find me. And questions, thoughts, comments, whatever. Little banter, a little debate with me. Your thoughts. Am I crazy? What do I know? But anyway, hit me up on Twitter at Diablo00. Again, so glad you could check it out. I'm going to get out of here. But again, have a great, safe weekend. I will see you Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. And yes, as always, forks up.